This podcast is brought to you by Rebecca Cassells of the Rising Dawn series. Do you like violence? Do you like smut? Are you tired of the stereotypical novels of werewolf romance out there and want something a little bit different? Then pick up Sparked Revolution, Book 1 in the Rising Dawn series by Rebecca Cassells. Available on Amazon, in Kindle, and paperback. You too can become a sponsor of Stories, The True and the Fictional by heading on over to buymeacoffee.com/STTATF or follow the link in the show notes.
Hello guys and welcome to another episode of Stories, The True and the Fictional. We've got another great guest coming in, but you know what we do first. It's the selfish plug. It's asking Ryan how he's going. Are you living the dream?
Yeah, still living the dream, just a bit frantic at the moment because trying to get my house ready for my dad to come down and visit tomorrow. So I am good. I've been up since 5:30 this morning. 5:30, yeah, so it's very, very, very long day for me. But I'm still living the dream.
Cool. Well guys, check out our sponsors, Rebecca Cassells, Martin Kearns. Grab my new book, Encore. It's been out for a little bit, but it's doing well, so that's me talking in the future, even though we're recording this in the past. I'm just dreaming that it's doing well. But now, let's bring in our guest, Noel Stark. How are we?
Hi. I'm good. How are you guys?
Ryan's dying to know if you're related to Tony.
Tony's a distant cousin, but the Starks from Game of Thrones are my real
that's
family.
the other one. Oh, okay. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so for those who don't know, who is Noel Stark?
Yes. Well, I'm an author. I'm a romance author. I've got a debut novel that just came out a couple of weeks ago. That's like kind of a Hollywood romance. It's a rom-com. And I wrote it because I've worked in the industry, in the TV and film industry for a really long time in many, many, many different roles and many different types of shows. And I thought I'd put all that experience into a novel. And so I'm here.
Cool. Well, we're gonna have a great chat because me and Ryan are both not only comic book nerds, but we're movie buffs.
Oh, nice. Okay, good.
Just warning, if you mention horror, Ryan ears will perk up and it'll go for 4 hours. Just trust me.
Oh, okay.
He's a horror buff.
I was just on a podcast called Scary Movie and a Sandwich.
Wow.
Where we talked about a scary movie. And I'm not a big horror fan because I get scared too easily. Yeah. But we talked about a scary movie and what sandwich would be connected with that scary movie. And so that was the podcast. So yeah.
What was the scary movie?
The scary movie was Under the Skin with Scarlett Johansson. Do you know that movie?
I haven't seen it, but I know it, yeah.
Yeah, it's not your usual horror movie. It's more on the disturbing end of things. And I tried to bring on like haggis as a sandwich because it's set in Scotland. Yeah. But you can't get haggis in Los Angeles because there's certain ingredients that are illegal here. So we couldn't do it. So we had to do a fish and chips sandwich sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Cool. Well, there's a tradition here on the podcast. We do icebreaker questions because we like to get to know the author before we like to get to know their books.
Okay.
Because I feel like a lot more people it happens to Ryan all the time. He buys the book while we're recording, because he gets to know the author. And I got to say it's probably 9 times out of 10 that'll happen. So.
Okay. All right. I listened to one of your podcasts and Ryan was saying that his finger was hovering over the buy button, and it was depending on how well the icebreaker questions were.
Exactly.
So I'm a little bit nervous.
That's how it goes. We're very judgmental. So yeah, it depends. Sometimes the interview can end after the icebreakers, or it can continue on depending on how your answers go.
Whew. I'm nervous now. Okay.
Well, just remember, we're all about being selfish. So Don't have to be political. Don't have to, give us all the what we want to hear.
Mhm.
But so with that in mind, the first question is, if you could get rid of anything in the world, what would it be?
And
Okay, this one,
it's saying that the world is, we've got world peace. There's
right.
no cruelty to animals. There's no cruelty to humans. We're all beautiful people.
Everything's good.
That's how you have to picture the world.
Yeah,
Perfectly
yeah,
selfish. Okay, so this one's a bit controversial. Okay.
go for it.
That's fine.
Pumpkin pie. Yes, see,
Brian,
yes.
Brian, you know how that whole chow chow?
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
love
yep.
pumpkin pie.
I
Yeah,
hate it. I
I know.
can't stand it.
Yes.
Oh
Thank
man.
you. Thank you. Okay, so pumpkin pie is like I will eat anything. Oh no. I will eat anything, but for whatever reason, I just hate pumpkin pie. And if it was just, a Thanksgiving fall kind of pie, I wouldn't care so much. Every year I have to explain to people, thanks, but I don't want any pumpkin pie, but I'll take the apple or I'll take the cherry or whatever. But it is the pumpkin spice culture has
Mhm.
exploded. Like
Yeah.
here in LA, here in the States, I'm Canadian, so I mean it also happens up there, but I feel like it's not as intense as it is down in the States. The pumpkin spice culture has exploded to ridiculous degrees. So the second Labor Day hits, it's like pumpkin spice lattes and pumpkin spice
Mhm.
cookies and pumpkin spice and all this stuff. And it's just hitting me all the time with this one thing that I don't want to eat. And so I would get rid of pumpkin pie if I could.
Well, send it my way because I love it.
Yeah, I
Because
can't. I don't believe fruit or vegetables should be in a dessert. To be honest with
Mm,
you, like fruit salad to me is not a dessert. It's like an entree kind of thing. But
mm,
yeah, if like apple pie, pumpkin pie, all these fruits and vegetables in pies, that it just shouldn't be allowed
hmm hmm
no,
I
just
at
mean,
all.
I do like apple pie. I'm a
oh
fan of
yeah,
apple pie, but the pumpkin pie, I just can't.
no,
I
it just
can't.
it tastes like caramel. It's good.
No, it doesn't. It
Yes,
tastes
it
like
does.
Oh,
pumpkin,
it
and
does not
pumpkin
taste
tastes
like
like
this.
crap.
You're having the wrong pumpkin pie then, because it's like we the one my mum makes, it's like caramelized, and it's just like you wouldn't know it's pumpkin.
Okay.
Or maybe it's not pumpkin. Maybe she's just telling you it's
No,
pumpkin and it's
I
caramel.
because I
Ah.
watch. I as a child I
Oh,
watch the pumpkin chopping, unless they're like going, well, this is a new pumpkin that's not a pumpkin, and it's just I'm just saying. And I'm a fan of pumpkin soup. So
Well,
oh,
pumpkin
you and your
soup is
pumpkin.
okay. You're
yeah,
you're like you're ready for something savory. I don't I
yep,
don't like the savory stuff in a pie.
okay, all right.
Yeah,
I think
I
that's
can
the
agree with
issue.
that.
Mhm.
100%. The only pies I really eat are like meat pies and beef and
Mm,
cheese pies and steak pies and stuff like that anyway. I don't really have pies as a dessert. It's not a
Mm.
real big thing over here in Australia, like in certain places it is, but you guys over there are the ones that have a lot of pies for dessert.
Yeah, it's mainly pies for dessert.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that whole pumpkin spice latte
Yeah,
things and oh, I just
yeah, no.
I watch at night time. I go. I don't really go on Facebook much during the day, but at night time when I get into bed, my wife will watch her true crime things, which scare the crap out of me. But I love them too. But her knowledge of how to get rid of a body scares me sometimes.
Mm,
Um, but then
mm.
I put my headphones on and I just watch like I have a lot of comedians and a lot of pop culture things on Facebook. So I just go on the videos and watch videos. And around one time of the year, it's always pumpkin spice latte, pumpkin this, pumpkin that. And I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
please,
Yeah.
no.
It's a nightmare. It's a
Yeah.
nightmare.
If
Hmm.
and you have to live over there, so I feel for you. I do. I
Thank you.
really do
Thank
feel
you.
for you.
Really appreciate that
Okay.
support.
Exactly, exactly. All right, well, this next question is not so controversial, unless you want it to be, which is totally fine. What is something that is on your bucket list?
There's this thing in California called the California Double that I really want to do,
Okay.
which is you surf in the morning and you ski in the afternoon. And so
Okay.
I know how to ski as a Canadian. I'm a good, I know how to
Mhm.
ski. But I just started learning surfing, this past spring. And so I want to do that. I want to do the surfing and not like just go for a lesson. I want to be able to really feel like I'm
Doing it.
sort of a surfer. Like I don't need to be good.
Yeah.
I don't need to surf for a long time. But just do that in the morning and then hightail it and go ski at night. I think that would be really cool.
I mean, this may be my lack of knowledge about all of America, but is there an area in LA where it's possible to do both those things in one day?
Yeah, that's why they call it a California double. So you can like where I live, which is West Hollywood, it's about 40-minute drive to the ocean. And then the other way, it's about an hour and a half to the ski hill. So
Wow, okay.
yeah, so you can do it very easily, even in the winter time, like in December or January. It's not super warm to swim in the ocean, but if you go in a wetsuit and then you just hightail it to the hill, it's about 2 hours from the ocean, and yeah, you can do it.
Can't do it in Australia.
That's awesome. I
Because
wish we had that out
No.
here. We don't.
well, because it's
Can't
like
do it in
I think
Canada.
it's like a yeah, it'd be like I think it's like 7 hours from the coast
Oh, is it?
to the snowy mountains.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
theoretically, like if you're surfing in the dark, maybe.
Okay.
If you
Maybe,
start
or
out,
like
yeah.
it's night skiing.
Yeah.
If you go to night
Yeah.
skiing, you might be
Yeah.
able to do it.
You probably
Yeah.
wouldn't
But
feel
the
like
big-
doing it after that drive.
Yeah, that's a long drive. That's a very long
Well,
drive.
the big skiing areas around here are like there's a place called Jindabyne, which is about
Threadbow.
six and a half hours from here, and they have one of the biggest ski resorts in Australia, and there's nowhere near a beach like that way.
Right.
You're going south, which I think I don't it's just past Canberra, so I'm not sure if
No,
there's
'cause-
nothing.
Yeah, because I looked it up. Because when I did a big road trip like 8 years ago, and it's one of those weird locations where you have to go all the way up and down, or all the way up and back. You know, it's like in a really weird location. You know, so it's not like.
Do you guys ski?
No, I've never seen snow.
You've never seen
I've
snow?
never
seen
snow.
snow. Wow.
Oh my God.
And you live up in the
that's-
mountains too.
Yeah, but it snows on the other end. And every
Okay.
time it snows, I go, I'm going to drive up there and see it. And then because I live so far, I check the road. The road's open. I hop in my car, I drive up, and then half an hour into the drive, it's road closed. So I can't go see the snow. You know,
What a
one day.
One day.
Well, I've been to Jindabyne and Threadbow, and so I didn't ski myself there, but I have been to Jindabyne with some mates. We stayed up there for about a week and got a 3-day pass to Threadbow. It's good. Even if you don't ski, there's still plenty of stuff to do.
Well, it's because the Oscar.
Yeah, exactly. So
I did that last year.
Okay.
In the
Awesome.
summer. I think
In
it was
the
like
summer, yeah.
it was close to summer, and it was still only like it was 12 degrees Celsius,
Yeah.
not Fahrenheit. So I don't know what the
Yeah.
difference
No,
is.
I'm on Celsius. Don't worry. You can say Celsius. And I'll get it.
Yeah. So no, it was cool. There's a lot of crows up there. It's like the highest point in all of Australia, and there's just like 50 crows just circling the top.
Oh, is that
Wow.
because people were dying?
I don't know. I didn't see people dying. They're doing a lot of construction up there.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. I think you can do it in Canada. You might be able to do it in Vancouver, but you'd have to be in a dry suit. You'd have to be it's colder in the ocean part.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to really know what you were doing as a surfer and then go skiing. Like the skiing wouldn't be the hard, but the ocean part would be hard. So you just might not want to do it.
Well, don't they have like those places you can go and it's like indoor surfing with like an artificial wave, and you're like, "Ooh," like, does that count?
I don't know. Do they? I've never heard of that.
I've
Maybe.
seen
Yeah,
it. I've seen it in the
Jamie
movies.
is right. Yeah. They do have like indoor surfing where it's created. It's like a wave pool, but more extreme. It creates the artificial wave through like some motors and stuff in the back, and then you see people. Well, I've seen people surfing on that as well. So that might be another option for people who don't really live near the beach but live near the snow.
You're like, would it count though? Would it count? That's the question.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing.
I'll ask
We'll have to
the
consult
Californian.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 All
Yeah.
right, let's move on to the
Now,
next one.
are you going to change the next one, Jamie,
I
like
don't
I
know
did?
because she's in Hollywood. I think we need to hear the right answer.
Okay.
Oh.
Um,
Okay.
Oh.
I think it depends on the
Okay.
guest, but um, so there is kind of two answers to this if
Hmm.
you want, because no one can ever just give us one. But
Hmm.
part one, in your opinion, what is the greatest sitcom ever made? And if that's not your favorite one to watch, what is?
Ah, yes. Okay. So, I mean, I these questions you sent me earlier, and I've literally I've been thinking, but putting in some hard thinking time on these questions. And the greatest sitcom ever made. I mean, I'll be boring and I'll say The Office. Like The Office is always
Yep.
good. You can watch it a billion times. You always find
Mhm.
something new. It's comfort watching. It's
Yeah.
always good.
Yeah.
Um, is it my favorite? I mean, I was going through a bunch of different sitcoms, like, like Scrubs and Community. Like Community is always surprising. There's some Canadian sitcoms that I love. Like there's this Canadian sitcom called Corner Gas that I just love because it's very Canadian, so it makes me feel really cozy.
Yep.
And then there's Schitt's Creek,
Yep.
But I think I would have to say the sitcom that surprises me the most consistently is Arrested Development
Yeah.
Cool.
because
I've
it's
seen, yeah.
pardon.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say I love Arrested Development. It gave us one of the best characters in Job from Will Arnett. I absolutely love him in Arrested Development.
Yeah, he's so good. The whole cast is so good. The writing is so amazing. It's like every episode is tied up in this way where it kind of blows your mind in this comedic way because it brings everything together. Henry Winkler's in there doing all these
Mhm.
kind of random happy days
Yeah.
meta jokes
Yeah.
along with Ron Howard, like there's so
Mhm.
and then David Cross is
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
so cringy, like he's so
100%.
awful that I mean, I don't know. I just think it's really funny. And then the kids are so great, like Maybe is so great and George
Hmm.
Michael is really funny. So I
George
I would
Michael,
say
yeah.
probably yeah, Arrested Development. Yeah. What
Cool.
about you guys? Do you
Well,
guys have like outside of The Office and the Friends and the Seinfelds, do you guys have a one that's an
Oh,
offshoot?
for me, it's Scrubs is my favorite,
Mm,
all-time favorite.
yeah.
Um, but a less obscure one, which falls into the sitcom category, but it's also a musical. It's called
Mm.
Gallivant. Um,
Oh, I
it's
don't know
18
that.
episodes. It's well, they say it's the bastard love child of Monty Python and the Princess Bride. So
Okay.
it's so it's, so it's
All
a
right.
medieval themed um musical. Written a lot of the music's done by Alan Menken, who did
hmm
Oh,
Beauty and the
yep.
Beast and all that
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
It was written for Zachary Levi right around the time of what was it? Tangled. So they worked together on
Oh,
Tangled, and they're going to do something with him. But then I think he got pulled into Thor or something.
okay.
But the guy that took his place is still brilliant, and it's
Mm,
if you ever want to see Vinnie Jones singing, it's he. That's the show.
okay. I'll check it out for
It's
sure.
brilliant. It's on Disney Plus. It's only 18 episodes. That's all they got, but it's
Okay.
so funny.
Okay. I'll
Um,
check it out. I
Yeah.
did see an Australian sitcom that was like a mockumentary and it was set in a public school and it was a
oh,
Mhm.
guy who did a bunch of different characters. Do you know
Yeah.
what I'm talking
Chris Lilly.
about?
Yeah. Chris Lilly. It's Summer High Tide is what you're talking
Summer
about.
Summer
Heights
Heights
High.
High.
And
Yes.
he did a young girl called Jamae. It's Jamie,
Yeah.
but it's pronounced as
Yeah.
Jamae.
Oh my God, she's
A
so
young
good.
Samoan guy named Jonah, and a teacher
Yeah.
Mr. G who was like
Yeah.
obsessed about creating the world's
Like
best
musical
play.
theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was
Yeah.
really good. I've seen all of
It is
Chris
really
Lilly's stuff. He's fantastic.
mm-mm, mm-mm. So
But
what's your sitcom that's like the side more obscure?
oh, well, I always say my favorite sitcom of all time is How I Met Your Mother.
Mm.
That one for me, pretty much. Yeah, I started off on Friends obviously when I was a lot younger, and then to me, How I Met Your Mother was a more more adult version of
Mm.
Friends. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like they had more, I guess, innuendo and more, you know, more jokes that you had to think about rather than Friends was just
Right.
that, you know, you can understand everything. Friends is still great, don't get me wrong, but yeah, How I Met Your Mother, and then pretty much anything Bill Lawrence has done after Jamie
Yeah.
got me into Scrubs.
Right.
You know, Ted Lasso, Shrinking, pretty much anything that he does is
He
always
is
Yeah.
really
brilliant.
good.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, but Ted Lasso is probably one of my all-time favorite shows. I will go back and watch those 3 seasons over and over again. So,
Oh, that's so good.
um, it's not really classified as a sitcom, more as like a comedy. But yeah, if
Mhm.
we're talking sitcom, How I Met Your Mother for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
Awesome. All right, next question's a fun one. What is your zombie apocalypse plan?
Yeah, I don't like this one was the one that sort of like, well, the last two sort of stumped me, but the zombie apocalypse plan stumped me because I kind of am a little bit fatalist. Like I kind of feel like I would probably be killed pretty early.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't have time to have a
Yeah.
plan. I mean, I was in LA when the pandemic happened
Mm.
Yeah.
and Canada quickly shut the border and there was like this thing where like we're shutting the border on Tuesday, so everybody come home and I'm like sort of going into zombie apocalypse
Yeah.
plan during that time. So I was like, "Oh my God, do I need to stay here and drive my car up to Vancouver and do I put gas in the trunk? Like what if there's no
Yeah.
gas stations open and
Yeah.
like how do I pack food and how does that work?" So it's logistically trying to figure out how to get back home. I just flew back home. I
Yeah.
just decided to fly back home. But it's weird because there was so and again I was listening to one of your podcasts and you guys said that it was like all the zombies, so all the different types
Yeah.
of zombies.
Yeah.
So in that case, it's really hard because you have the slow moving like Night of the Living Dead
Yeah.
zombies. You have like the fast angry ones from 28 Days.
Yeah.
Then you have
Mhm.
like the ones that can't see but can hear, like from
Yeah.
Yeah.
the Last
The
of
Last
Us.
of
So,
Us. Yeah.
like I don't know. I think I might just walk out into them and say,
Yeah.
like I'm done. Like I don't want
I think we need to
to
map it out.
labor
I
this.
think we need to map it out now, Ryan. Like, I assume that the Walking Dead ones are in the colder regions because it's colder, and
Yeah.
Mm,
you know, like what kind of
yeah.
Yeah,
zombies
and
are?
the ones for the fast ones from 28 Days Later are only in the UK because that's where it was all
That's
set.
it. Yeah.
And then if you're in the US, you've got the Last of Us zombies, which I think I don't call them technically zombies. But I had
No.
this discussion with my wife. She still calls them zombies, and I said, well, I don't really think they're
No.
classified as zombies, but I mean they are dead. They're just the
Mhm.
cordyceps and the
Yeah.
Yeah,
plantation
they're
life is
animated.
controlling them. So I guess
Yeah.
in some way they're zombies, but
Yeah.
I think America gets those ones. And then I think over here,
Well, we
I
had
don't
that.
think we get
We
any.
had that movie with oh, what's his name? The
Oh,
Hobbit guy.
Yeah, not Martin Short.
Cargo.
Oh God,
There's a movie called
yeah,
Cargo,
Cargo, yeah.
and that's
Yeah, those
yeah,
we get those ones
that was a good movie.
where
Yeah.
you kind of get in Cargo. You kind of get it's like a chrysalis. You
Yeah.
kind of get encased with
Uh,
like, and then you come out of it and you're
oh, so it's
zombified.
the
It's
little
been a while
body
since I watched it.
snatchers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm. A little bit like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I think we'll have those ones. But yeah, look, lately, early on in the podcast, a lot of people were having like proper plans, like I'm going
Yeah.
to a bunker, or I'm going to a hardware store, or that. Lately, for the last probably 10 episodes, people are like, I'm just going to say, hey, here you go, have me,
Yeah,
or
well,
spend like a
I
day with your loved ones and then go, okay, let's all go out together.
yeah, because I think there's so many different versions of zombies,
Yeah.
and we've seen all the badness that can come from zombies. Like we've
Yeah.
seen all the different scenarios of what can happen with zombies that it's like, oh
Yeah.
God, I don't know. I mean, the Shaun of the Dead zombies are sort of
Mhm.
okay because at least you can keep your
Mhm.
loved
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
ones that turn into zombies, you
Yeah.
can keep them and they can still play video games and
Yeah.
stuff. So that's not a
Exactly.
terrible
As long
scenario
as you chain them up, then
Yeah.
you're okay.
as long
Yeah.
as you chain them up. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
they're they're
There was
pretty chill.
There was a Canadian short film with the woman from The Matrix, and they had zombies in it, and they had put the zombies into servant positions.
Mm.
So they
Okay.
actually had chained the zombies and then made them vacuum or mow the lawn, or like so they had become
Okay.
kind of a servant class. So if that's my situation, then I can do that. Like
Yeah.
I can corral them, I
Yeah.
can manage them. So I guess that would
Okay.
be my plan. It's just
Yeah.
to motivate them as a
Yeah.
manager
Yeah.
Yeah.
to do the
No,
work
I
that
think
we
that
don't.
that's good. I like that idea. Training them to be our servant. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
There you go. All right. The final icebreaker question.
Mm,
It's a good one. I like this one. If
mm.
so Bill and Ted arrive outside your house in their phone booth time machine and say, "Whoa, dude, Rufus asked you to give us a asked to give you a free ride in our phone booth time machine. Where do you go?"
Okay, so this is another one I had to think about because do I have to fix something in this scenario?
No, no, you
Yeah,
can do
you can
whatever you
just
want.
No, I
you're
can just go back whenever.
totally selfish. Yeah.
I try to be selfish. So, like, this is what's hard. Like, I was a history student. I have a history degree, and pretty much all situations in history are terrible. Like
Hmm.
the disease is horrible. Like if you're poor, it's awful. Like if you have money as in any time,
Mm,
Yeah.
like it's aces. Yeah, let's go back to Regency England as long as I have lots of money and I
yeah,
don't have to worry about, like selling myself on the street.
yeah,
Or like, sure, I'll go back to, I don't know, Alexandria and maybe I won't have to sell myself on the street. So I
yeah.
think it would have to depend if I get money or not to
Mhm.
go back um with me. Is that something that I can do?
I'd say
Do I have
you
the
get the whole
money?
cost. You can get the costumes and the
I
a
can
little
get
bit
the
a little bit of
status.
a little bit of spending money. You don't have to live there. You're just going for a visit. So you
Okay.
know.
Okay, so then I guess like you know what? I would probably go back to New York, like old time New York
Old
when it
time New
was
York.
just
Yeah.
starting to like boom. I think that would be pretty interesting because you have all the different, immigrant classes, you have extreme wealth, you have not, you have lots of poor people, but there's also tons of innovation going
Yeah.
on. I think that would be pretty fun. What
Okay.
about you guys?
Can see that.
Mine changes all the time.
Does it?
I'm fascinated with history.
Mm,
So I'd go back to early Australia. I'd probably
mm,
die, but
I know.
just to
That's
have.
the thing, right?
But yeah, I'd have
Like
a weird
how early Australia? Like when the boats first came,
or
or when it was a
1800s,
penal colony, or like when?
1800s when the bushrangers
18.
were doing their thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Because most of them didn't rob the poor, so I'd be all right.
Right. Okay. That's very cool.
There was actually one that would hold people up, and then if they couldn't afford it, he'd give it back. Like he just like if you were rich, he'd be like, "Okay, give it," but then if they're poor, he's like, "Oh no, you can't afford it."
I mean, did they have a questionnaire? Where you had to
No,
fill it out?
not back then. I think it was just how they, you know, they knew the classes. They knew how, you knew if
Yeah.
Sure.
someone was rich,
Right.
You can tell
So they
by
were
the
like
way they
Australian.
dress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
They were like Australian Robin Hoods, basically.
yeah, yeah. Pretty much like it's completely different from the American outlaws.
Mm,
Because these were like literally because things were so tough. It was like you robbed to stay alive, pretty much
right.
to live instead of to run around and just. I mean, like our most famous one, Ned Kelly, he robbed a few banks and he'd
Mm-hmm.
burn people's mortgage papers, and he'd like he'd give back to the community,
Right. That's
at the
cool.
same time. But
Mm.
yeah, we did have a few crazies, like just
Yeah.
I can
complete nut jobs.
imagine.
You're always going to
I
have a
can
nut job, but
imagine.
not every now and again. But a lot of them were just a victim of circumstance, really.
Mm, mm. That's cool. I didn't know that. I'm learning all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. Welcome to the. I recently had to talk about because I was on a podcast recently called the Dad Lit podcast, which is really cool.
Mm.
And he was American and he just wanted to know everything about Australia. You know,
Oh, that's
going
cool.
like, can I talk about my book? You know?
No, you can't.
No,
Talk more about Australia.
eventually, yeah. Yeah, so they gave him all the spiel about Ned Kelly, so that was cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan? Where are you going?
Probably just 100 years into the future, to be honest with you. I'd just like to see, you don't want to go,
Yeah.
you never want to go too far into the future just in case like the end of the world has happened.
Yeah.
But maybe 100, 200 years in the future just to see, what's going on. If, we've become better people and how society's going. And
Mm-hmm.
if I go 200 years in the future and it still looks exactly the same as it does today, I'd be pretty disappointed. But
Yeah.
I would expect to at least maybe, some more technology, maybe some flying cars, stuff like
Right.
that. But
But
yeah,
wait, if it was
just to check it
crap,
out.
if it was total crap, would you feel like you would need to change it when you came back?
No, because that's one thing that I like. I believe in fate, and I believe in the butterfly effect. I believe that if I tried to change something, then I'd come back, and then things would just be completely crazy. So I
Right.
would be very, very careful at what I did when I went to the future. But yeah, even if it was crap, I would just be like, oh well, at least I'm not going to be around to have to put up with it, and
Right.
that'd be it. I wouldn't tell anyone about anything. But yeah, I was like, if
Yeah.
this is what has to happen, this is what has to happen.
Well, there's also the theory, like a lot of physicists have this theory about time travel that you actually can't change anything. That even if you say
Okay.
if you wanted to save your great grandfather from like getting hit by a bus,
Yeah.
and you do that, but then he walks down the street and an anvil falls on his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, so there's this theory that you can't actually escape
Yeah.
the timeline. Like you can change it a little bit, but you can't actually
Yeah.
escape it.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
the
because I'm a massive believer in fate and destiny, and I believe you're right. I believe, if someone is destined to die at this particular time,
Mm,
even if you go back in time to change it, something's going to
mm,
happen to make sure that that happens anyway. You're
mhm.
right, you can bend the rules of fate, but you can never break them. So yeah, I
Yeah.
100%
yeah.
agree.
That's like that episode, one of my only favorite episodes of Supernatural after season 5, where an angel watched Titanic, hated it so much that he went back in time to stop the ship from sinking, so the movie never got
Yeah.
made. And then all these people were just
Yeah.
randomly dying, and it's because fate was going around killing all these people that weren't supposed to be here. You know?
Right. Right. But he saved us from the movie,
Yeah, yeah,
essentially. Yeah.
yeah. So,
That's
that was
funny.
cool. All right, look, you passed the icebreakers, so now it's time for the fun stuff. This podcast is brought to you by Martin Kearns and the Valor of Valhalla series. In the battle between two ancient evils, can one naive young man become the last hope against powerful creatures of legend? Beneath the Veil is the gripping first book in the Valor of Valhalla dark urban fantasy series. If you like reluctant heroes, infernal myths, and bloody epic clashes, then you'll love Martin Kearns' formidable foray into the unknown. So head on over to readkearns.com and grab yourself a copy of Beneath the Veil today. Tell us about your writing journey. How did it start, and how'd you get to where you are?
Okay, well, like I said, I started in film and TV. And I was an actress, I was a writer, I was a director, I was a producer, I was the lowest rung on the ladder. I was not the highest rung because the highest rung is like the executives at Disney or whatever. I haven't done that job, but I've done a lot of the different jobs and on a bunch of different shows. Like I've worked in scripted, I've worked in kids, but I've also worked a ton of reality shows. So, Ryan, I'm working on a true crime show right now. So it's I've done true crime, I've done ghost shows, I've done
Ooh.
renovation shows. Yeah, ghost
Is
shows
that
are all
like the ghost adventures and ghost hunters and
yeah,
stuff like
I've
that?
done I've done two kinds, like the ghost hunters or whatever sort of style. I've also done the shows where you like someone's being haunted and they retell their story and then there's a reenactment of the haunting. So I worked on those as well.
Awesome.
So I've done a lot of different things, and I never ever thought I would write a book. Never. But I went through this massive romance reading phase, and I just thought I could write one of these. Like these aren't so hard. It's completely naive, completely ridiculous thought. But it launched me into writing a novel, which I set in the TV and film world because I knew it so well. So I didn't really want to spend time building a world that I didn't know. Because I wanted to focus on the characters and I wanted to focus on the love story. But so that's why I put it in the TV world. And I'd read a lot of Hollywood romances, but they tend to focus on the actors or sometimes the writers. And so I decided I wanted to do something about the crew. And so this is about the director, who's a woman, and the director of photography, who's a guy. And I have to say, like, it was such a great experience because when you're working in film and TV, you have to convince a ton of people that your project is worthy. And you have to convince them to give you a bunch of money and a bunch of their time. And when you're writing a novel, it's kind of just you. Like you do ask for help look down the road, of course. But it's really freeing that you don't have to convince anybody that the project is valid for it to go forward. So yeah, that was my writing journey in a nutshell.
Cool. So did you
Awesome.
write screenplays and stuff first?
I've
Have you do
written,
any
like,
for
I've
that?
bounced around. I've
Yeah.
bounced around. Like in Canada, the pie is small. Like I'm in LA now, but I
Yeah.
got my chops in Canada, and the pie is small, so you kind of
Yeah.
have to know how to do a bunch of different things in order to just make a living.
Yeah.
So I've worked in development. I've written screenplays. I've written TV shows. I've written
Yeah.
kids shows. Like I wrote for Paw Patrol. You know that show, Paw Patrol?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And so those were the kind of scripted
Yeah.
things that I've done.
Yeah.
And then in reality TV, I've written scripts for that, which is a very different type of thing.
Yeah.
But also I've worked a lot in post and
Yeah.
pre-production, which is a different type of writing. Like you're writing with the
Yeah.
images
Yeah.
essentially. So yeah.
No, it's just because I started writing screenplays just for a bit of a hobby, even though one almost got made
Ah,
randomly.
that's
Yeah, well, I
amazing.
got a guy in my street, like he doesn't live here anymore, but like randomly I was mowing his lawn and he knew Ridley Scott
Oh, really?
from like 20 years ago. So he still had
Oh my God.
he still had Hollywood contacts, and he's just like going, right, oh, you should write a screenplay. And I went, oh, okay. And I Googled how to write a screenplay and I gave it to him and he said, let's do it. And then it got into pre-production, but then it all fell apart.
Oh, wow. That's
So
pretty amazing that you got that
yeah,
far.
like for the first thing I ever wrote. So that spun me out.
Hmm. Hmm.
But then all I did was just start turning all my screenplays into books. So
Right.
so I
Yeah.
was just, wondering if that's something you did or at all.
Well, yeah, I mean, I certainly knew that it would be easier to get something on
Yeah.
paper than writing a screenplay. That's a really good point. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I know tons of people have written tons of screenplays that have just sat in the drawer, and you
Yeah.
can't. The thing about writing novels that is that even if you're not traditionally published, you can self-publish. You can
Yep.
get it out
Yeah.
there. You can
Yep.
be noticed and that like you can have people read it, whereas you don't really have that with screenplays. So that's for
Yeah.
sure. Because when I started writing the novel, I began realizing, oh, I could turn that screenplay idea into a novel.
Yeah.
Oh, I could turn that TV show idea into a novel. Oh, okay. So then, and then who knows? Maybe one of those will get turned
Yeah.
into a
Yeah.
movie
That'd be so funny.
or
Yeah.
a TV show or whatever. So
Be like,
yeah,
well, the screenplay's ready to go. No.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, because when I write, I'm very visual, so I see what I write, and everything
Hmm.
starts as a movie in my head first.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
your book, Love Camera Action, um,
Hmm.
I'm gonna guess that you can see it. Like when you wrote it,
Yeah.
did you see it? Like, because you're in it?
Yeah, that was actually a bit tricky for me. I was writing it more on the level of a screenplay. And maybe you found this as well when you were writing, is that I found that I had no problem with dialogue, I had no problem with plot, but the interiority of the characters was harder for me to
Yeah,
get to because you depend on actors or you depend on
yeah,
like your subjects if it's documentary style and you depend a lot on what they say, how they say it, how they look.
yeah.
Um, and you can't do that in a novel because you can't
No,
see anyone.
no.
So
Mhm.
I would hand in, pages to my editor or my friends or whatever, and they'd say, "Well, what is this person thinking?" And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Well, it's right there in the dialogue." And
yeah.
like, no, it's not.
No,
So that was very hard for me to
yeah,
to figure out, and I still have to figure that out. I still need people to tell me, "You need to fill in more here." So yeah.
yeah. No, that didn't work there very well for because mine was very uh dialogue heavy.
Mm,
I was just kind of let the dialogue move
yeah.
along. But
Hmm.
I'm
And that's a
self-published, so
style, right?
yeah,
Yeah, but that's a style. Like I've
yeah,
read really amazing books where it's just like dialogue, 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 and there's not even any dialogue tags
yeah,
to help you, but it is on the dialogue. I'm not
yeah,
good enough to be able to do that.
yeah.
So you're probably more talented than I
Well,
am.
you haven't read it yet, so you don't know. And I self-publish everything myself. I'm too controlling.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I could I wouldn't be comfortable handing it over to a studio. Like unless I'm like going like I'm
Right.
in this. I'd be doing the Stallone thing with Rocky, Just like I'm in
Right,
this and
right, right.
I'm hands on.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of the opposite because I from working in TV for so long, I got so used to notes that
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, just tell me what's wrong with it and I'll
Yeah.
fix it.
Yeah.
Like just tell me. And I don't like there's a certain like I actually bow down to indie publishers because it is so much work. You have to look after the marketing, you have to look
Yeah.
after the formatting, like the cover, like all that stuff. And I just didn't have the space for that.
Yeah.
So I went the
Yeah.
traditional publishing route and I was kind of like, I don't need to control that. Like you guys do that, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm maxed already. So
Yeah. Yeah.
can't,
That's it. Yeah.
can't do it. But yeah, like I'm very impressed with indie authors because that's a lot to
Yeah.
take on.
The,
Yeah.
the oh, I love it all. I love all the process. The only thing we all, as unanimously indie authors, hate is the marketing. It's just like, how do
Oh,
we, like, it's just how. I mean, I made
it's the worst.
a book trailer for my one that's coming out. Well, it's already
Oh,
out
cool.
when this is released. And it's
Hmm.
up to 1,800 views on Twitter.
Wow,
It's
amazing.
every day. It's just people that keep watching it. And I'm going like, just praying that all those watchers will buy it. Because
Hmm.
I'd
That's
love
so
this,
cool.
but
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have to do my own marketing even though I'm traditionally published
yeah,
too. Like that, you still have to do that. And it's such a, I really
yeah,
don't like it,
yeah,
but you have to do it.
yeah, yeah. You
So what
do.
are you gonna do?
You
Yeah.
just
But imagine if you're back, say, 50 years ago and you just written the
Mm,
book and you'd had to do the marketing. I think it'd be a hell of a lot harder because you'd no social media, no internet,
yeah,
no computers. No,
yeah.
I would think it'd just be, how much more difficult would it be, best being if your book came out 50 years ago as
yeah,
opposed to now, because now you can just get your phone and go bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
But then
Hmm.
before that, it's just word of mouth. It's just
yeah,
people seeing
Yeah.
it in a bookstore and stuff like that.
Well, and you bring up a really good point because that's a really exciting place where books are right now. Is that
Mhm.
because, like, back in the day, you were at the mercy of traditional publishers. And
yeah,
if they liked it, then great. If they didn't, then you were SOL, right? So
Mhm.
now it's because you can self-publish, because there are places for fan fiction and you don't have to worry about copyright. Like
Mhm.
you can put your work out there and like not for fan fiction but for your own stuff you can
yeah,
find a market that may have been underserved because the traditional houses were kind of keeping the keys to that
yeah,
gate, right? And that's what's so interesting. Like there's so many books, there's so many genres, there's so many different authors coming out because there's a platform for them.
Yeah.
Like it's also very difficult because there are so many books out there now. It's hard to like kind of noticed within you know, like the fish in the sea. I don't know what the metaphor is.
Screaming into the
but
void.
it's yeah, it's great. There you go, screaming into the void. But you can break through, and that is very exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah. 100%.
Oh, definitely. And I think, you know, listening to podcasts like ours, and this is me personally, listening to podcasts like ours and actually doing the podcast, I've discovered so many amazing indie books when before we started this podcast, I was just reading, you know, your major, like your Stephen King, your Matthew Riley, you know, Rick Riordan and stuff like that. The things that you would see in the bookshelves and front page on your digital apps. But since doing this podcast, I've found so many different genres and so many different writers that I never would have checked out if I hadn't have heard of them on a podcast or met them through our podcast and discovered so many different amazing books. So,
well, and
yeah.
this podcast is doing a bit of a service for the community as well. Like you're not just learning about it, you're spreading it out to so many other people so that they learn about it. Like it's like the podcast community is really fascinating, and it is also grassroots stuff where maybe people are sick of, you know, the regular media. And I mean, we talk about that in TV all the time, how the media landscape has shifted so crazily. But yeah, that's like a bit of a service that you guys are giving.
And that's what I've always said, that that's the reason why I love doing this podcast. It's not because we make money or anything like that. It's because we want, if we can get one or say, if we can get 5 or 10 more people to buy your book than what you would have had if you didn't come on this podcast, then to me that's a win. You know, because the age we live in, and I might sound like an old man, but the age we live in at the moment, a lot of people are not reading as much as they used to because you've got alternatives, you've got video games, you've got so many streaming services, you've got, you know, music streaming services and everything like that. Whereas, you know, there's not enough people devoting time to actually reading books.
Well,
And
actually,
that's what
here's
we
where
want
you're
to do.
wrong. You're actually wrong, Ryan, is that books are on the upswing.
Okay.
People are reading more books than they ever have in the past. And I think it's because there are so many things out there. I think it's exactly what you're saying. Like there's so many, there's streaming, there's social media, there's all this stuff, and people want to slow down and they want to read a book. And I think it's podcasts, like people wanting to hear real people talk about stuff and not being just served like, read this book because it's brilliant. It's like, no, read this book because it's fun. No, read this book because it's exciting. Read this one because it's sexy. Like it's the podcast community is really, I think, like I'm finding that as a debut author, that it's such an exciting community that what you are doing is making people read more. So Ryan, you're doing it.
We're doing it, bro. No, look, I love
You're
it.
doing it,
bro. Because I found, just because we've been doing this, like, what, interviews probably for 3 years.
Wow.
That sort of thing. And we've made so many friends to the point that I was messaging a few, I think a week ago or something, or just like seeing what they're up to, that sort of thing. And none of them were replying. And then I went on YouTube and there was some channel I follow, oh, they're going live, and all of them were on a YouTube. And then,
oh my gosh,
I kid you, like 2 seconds later, they're talking about my book. You know,
right?
And then, you know, over the next couple of days, I made a few more sales. You know, so it's just that networking thing is just, it's the best thing.
Yeah, and I think people are very supportive. Like I love that saying, a high tide raises all boats. And it's like it's not a question that there's only so much of the pie you can have. Like the more we support each other, the more everybody wins.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
And then Jamie's right about this podcast. Like I've met so many friends that I was in hospital for 10 months last year, or this year and last year.
Gosh.
And there was one of our sponsors, Martin Kearns, who we've had on the show a few times. Me and him began talking on a daily basis because I used to work 7 days a week. I was just work. But since I went into hospital, I've I speak to him on a daily basis. We got really close, and it's just so weird to know that if we didn't have him on one of our episodes, I never would have made
Yeah.
such a close friend. And it's just amazing the amount of people that I talk to on a daily basis on Instagram. Like that's the main one I use, but that have we've had on the show, and they've still become friends over the couple of years we've been doing it. It's amazing.
Yeah. That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I feel like
Mhm.
we've deviated too far from your book, so let's get back
Oh,
to that.
sorry.
No, it's just it's what happens. It's what happens. We are the tangent kings.
We are the Tangent Kings.
So give it a plug. Tell us like what's the plot? Who are the characters?
Yeah.
What can we expect?
Okay, so like I said, it's about a female director and male director of photography. And the female director has been hired at the last minute because the male director that was originally in her spot has been fired because he said some unfortunate things about the Me Too movement. So he's been fired. They need a woman for PR reasons right away. They need someone who's available, and they need someone who's really good at directing sex scenes. And so this woman, Callie, is brought in from Canada at the last minute, and she walks right on the set on her first day. Like she doesn't have any time to prep, she doesn't have any time to meet anybody, and she bangs straight into her director of photography, who is this guy that she has been sort of having had this kind of professional crush on for a long time because he's considered brilliant. He's considered a tyrant. He's an A-lister director of photography. And the director of photography is the person who establishes the look of the show and shoots all of the footage, like with his team or her team. And they're artists in their own right. And the director of photography work quite closely together to make a TV show. And she's all excited because this is her big break. And he just wants to get his day. He doesn't want any new ideas. He doesn't want any like sunshiny energy. And they spar because she's like, why don't you want new ideas? Like, why don't you want to try something different? And he's kind of wants to get into the director's seat because he's not like what you were saying, Jamie. He's sick of not being in control of the entire vision.
Yeah.
He's tired of directors coming in and changing what he's done for the show. And he wants the director spot. Now, he doesn't necessarily want her spot, but he's just sick of directors, maybe not knowing what they're doing or just changing things. And she really needs to make her mark because she needs to make this job work because of her own personal reasons. She looks after her mom and her sister, so she really needs this to work. So yeah, so then hijinks and romantic comedy ensues from there.
Now, were any of these characters based off real people?
They're big, like, I mean, yes, I mean, like
You don't have to tell them who they are, but
okay, good. It's based on a lot of people I've worked with. There are circumstances that I've seen happen. I've heard from friends happen. And it's very much takes place on the set. And what happens, like there's problems with the actors, like the two lead actors. One is the woman, they're shooting the show called The Demon, and it's about this demon that gives men nightmares, and you begin to realize that the man that she's kind of focused on is a double agent for another kind of mystical subset, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And the actress who's playing her is very serious. She went to Yale. She really is very into her craft. She's very good. And the guy is been hired because he's beautiful and he can't act his way out of a paper bag. And she's furious because she's like, God damn it. And so they spark as well, and they kind of become foils for Callie and Jory about what it means to make this TV show. So yeah.
So when's the movie coming out?
Yeah. You get your friend who knows Ridley Scott to make it.
No. Well, we have another friend who's an independent filmmaker. He's a brilliant filmmaker who's just, I don't think it'd be up his alley because he loves period pieces and like he's very good at what he does. But
Yeah.
he's old school, loves horror, loves intense stuff. But so I know a few, you know, actor people,
You
you know,
okay?
but it's your world. You should just walk outside and every second
Yeah,
person's like someone, isn't it?
it is that easy in Los Angeles to get something made. It really is.
Yeah.
Like I'm big time failing for,
Yeah.
for not finding
Yeah.
anyone to do this movie. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I never watch stuff about the business
Yeah.
because I'm in it all the time and I don't want to see it. Like
Yeah.
my brother was
Yeah.
a cop, he didn't want to watch cop shows.
Yeah. Well, because you'd
You know,
start
like
you'd start nitpicking it. Like we had
Yeah.
a paramedic come on once.
mm,
He's really funny. They got paramedics have dark sense of humor just because of what they
I
do and all
bet.
that stuff. But he says
Mm.
he watches those shows. That wouldn't happen. That's not right. They wouldn't do this. They, you know, it's just
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. And then
I'm
sometimes when you're like, oh God, they would do that, and it's so
yeah
depressing.
yeah.
But here I've written one, so I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, well, you write what
Yeah.
you know. You write what you know. You know.
Exactly.
Mhm,
I
mhm,
was just checking out one question that I like to ask all the authors is in relation to the covers. Now, I've had a look on your website and I've noticed the cover very bright, very vibrant, very,
mhm,
catching, eye-catching.
mhm.
Did you design that yourself or was that done by the
Oh,
publisher or how would that work?
no, God, no. The publisher did it. And like the publisher hired out to get an
Yeah.
artist to do it.
Yeah.
And I have to give them credit. They actually asked me my opinion because most of the time they
Okay.
They
don't.
don't. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like most of the time they just do it. And they asked me my opinion. They gave me, like 4 looks and I told them what I thought of it. And they actually let me kibosh one. Like they were very excited about this one. And I was like, I'm sorry, you just can't have this element on it. Like it doesn't make any sense. And they took it off. So I thought that was very
Yeah.
cool of them. And so it was a dialogue between me and, like whether or not I really had any say, I don't know, but they made it
Yeah.
seem like I did.
They made you feel like you had a say.
Made
Yeah.
me feel like I
Yes.
had a say.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in talking with that, so obviously, you've gone over the synopsis and what the book's all about. Do you
Mm.
think that there's room for like a sequel or a trilogy or anything like that?
Yeah, it's the beginning of what I hope is 4 books.
Okay.
Um, this I've already started the second one, which
Mhm.
is about the actors. Because the producers start to get a little bit because the main actor guy, the way that he deals, he's scared, right? Because he knows he can't act. He knows he's been hired for his looks and he knows tons of money is getting
Mm.
spent on him and he doesn't know what to do. And so what does he do? He acts like a jerk, like he's
Mm.
arrogant and he's a bit of a douche because
Yeah.
he's trying to hide his insecurities. So as a result, the producers are kind of like, well, he's not that great of an actor and he's hard to work with. So should we replace him? And the person that they're thinking of replacing him with is the lead woman's ex-boyfriend, who is incredibly toxic and totally screwed her over, like and wrecked her
Yeah.
career at the beginning. So she has to
Mm.
decide whether she's going to put up with the ex-boyfriend coming in or teach the actor that she doesn't like how to act because it's the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what happens. And it's a bit of an opposites attract because
Yeah.
he is completely in love with her. She's super smart. He doesn't think he's smart at all. He's very heart smart, but he's
Mm.
not super book smart.
Yeah.
And she needs to chill out. She's a little
Mm.
too high strung. So it's an opposites attract situation.
So it's
So
the
there's
second.
that. Then that's the second one. The third one is the producer, and then the fourth one is a showrunner, which is the person who um, runs the show. They do everything.
So it's
Yeah.
the second one going to be called Love Camera Cut.
Ah! I'll write that one down. At the moment, it's called Acting Up,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
that could change. That's the other thing. Is you don't really get to choose your title.
Yeah.
They
Oh, well,
asked me to.
you should come to the self-publishing route. You can do what you want.
Well, no, I know that's true. You can do what you want, but then you have to do everything. That's the
Yeah.
only problem.
Oh, I don't mind. Just marketing. Someone tell me how to do marketing.
Yeah, yeah, it's tough for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah, so there's sequels, and I've got another series in mind that's a little bit more speculative fiction. It's a time travel thing. So
Ooh.
mhm.
Time travel romance.
And my
Mhm. Yeah.
my other question is that I do ask it of romance writers. Um, how like because only just because and I say no offense to Charlotte, she's an amazing person, she's an amazing writer. How spicy is your book?
Well, it's okay, so there's there's different like levels of spicy, and I would put myself on a what people would say like a 3 spicy level. So like 5 is they're doing it all the time.
Mm.
1 is like maybe you see a little bit, maybe it's closed door, you know? So
Yeah.
I'm right in the middle. I've got like 3 or 4 pretty spicy scenes, but they're long. So that's my you know, for me personally, um I don't like to read romance novels without any spice because I'm kind of like, what's the point?
Yeah.
That's just me. Some people are cool
Yeah.
with it. I'm just like, I don't know. Why am I reading this if it's not
Yeah.
there? So but it's around the middle. It's around the middle. Like, I mean, I have ideas that are much further on the spice meter. But right now I'm writing right in the middle.
Yeah.
If that's the
Okay.
middle for you, like that's the middle for me. I don't know what you think, Ryan, is like spicy or not. Like what's
Well,
your
the one that I started reading from Charlotte
Mhm.
Chaos was pretty full on. Like and that said, that's just it's just honestly like I it's just it to me it's just not my cup of tea. I don't know if it's I'm getting older, but I don't like watching sex scenes much on movies or TV anymore
Mhm,
because
mhm,
I'm 42. But that I mean that's not that old, but you know what I mean. Like it's I don't know
Mhm.
if it's something that happens as you get older, but I get a little bit embarrassed kind of thing. So, but the book that I
okay.
started reading, there was quite a lot. I would say for probably yeah, a lot. Like there was a
A
lot.
lot. Okay. So
I know there's a
mine,
market for that, you know. So
oh, there's a big market for it. There's a
yeah.
big market for it. So mine is like they don't really start getting into anything hot and heavy until about, I'm gonna say 65% into the book. Like
Yeah.
once the 65% mark that hits, they go at it. And then the last
Okay.
20%, they're not doing it. So it's like within that 25% range. There's a lot going on. So you could skip that if you want.
Yeah.
There's actually like
Yeah.
there's a differentiation between romance and erotica with in
Mhm.
terms of the sex scenes. Is that the thought is with romance, if it's a romance, you can take the sex scenes out and it won't affect the characters. Like it
Mhm.
won't affect the character's development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in erotica, the development is through the spicy scenes.
Yeah.
So if you took the spicy scenes out, it wouldn't make any sense, if you
I
get
get
me.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
And I'm not a prude in any way. Like, don't think that I'm not religious at all. I'm not against any of anything like that. I guess it's just
Personal
I
taste.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the books that I read, like I read a lot of horror. I read
Mhm.
a lot of like action, spy, espionage, all that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. But I don't mind a bit of romance as well, you know, like
Mhm.
to sort of round everything up. I
Yeah.
just think when it gets to be super spicy, it just turns me off a little
Mhm.
bit. That's all.
Well, the cool thing about romance is that you can have spy romances. I've read spy espionage romances. I've read
Yeah.
horror romances. I've read
Mhm.
sci-fi. I've read fantasy. I've read the historical. You know, like you can get every genre in romance.
Mhm.
And the only defining thing that makes it romance is that the focus is on the two people. But there's like, you know, murder mysteries or thrillers or mafia
Yeah.
ones or, you know, military ones or werewolves or, you know, vampires or whatever. And that's what's kind of fun about romance is that there's so
Mhm.
many different kinds and also many different kinds of spice levels too. Like you
Yeah,
can find
definitely.
ones that have less.
Just
So,
no pumpkin spice.
Definitely. No pumpkin spice.
No pumpkin spice. Yeah.
No pumpkin spice.
No pumpkin
There
spice
is a
for you.
romance novel that just came out that was pumpkin spice
Really?
love or
No.
something. Or yeah, and I was
No.
like, I am not reading.
Jamie, we're never having that author on our show at all. Make sure you check that.
I'm gonna track them
No
down.
pumpkin spice.
They're
No
gonna,
pumpkin
they're
spice.
gonna jump the long list.
And you know what? That day that we record, I will be significantly sick and will not be
There you
able
go.
to record.
Line drawn.
But I will do the thing where like, oh, surprise guest.
Oh, you bastard.
And what about
That's
you,
it.
Jamie? Do you read any romance?
Well, I've written so like I blend genres. Like I don't read all
Mhm.
that much. I
Mhm.
want to, but I'm always writing. And my thing is that
Mhm.
I'll pick up a book, I'll start
Mhm.
reading it, then I'll get an idea in my head, and my mind will just wander.
Yeah.
You know, so it's hard for me to focus.
Mm.
I wrote a. I didn't want it to be a romance, but it had to be because of the premise. I went
Oh.
to I threw my best mate a medieval themed bucks party back in the day.
Mm.
So we all dressed up as medieval things. And then I had the idea what would happen if the zombie apocalypse happened at a medieval themed bucks party?
Right.
Let's
Okay.
call it Bucks Night with a K, you know. So,
Yeah.
and then it just grew into this series of novellas, and it's centered around people trying to get married during the zombie apocalypse. But
Oh, that's fun.
so
I love that.
There's romantic elements in it, but it's
Mhm.
I don't know. Ryan's read it, so I don't know how intense
Mhm.
there's nothing intense about the
Yeah.
romance. It's just
No.
like,
Mm.
but there's a lot of zombies and stuff like that. But
The zombies outnumber the romance. Like I said, I don't mind
Yeah.
that kind of romance. Like
Yeah.
it's just when the book is all about
Yeah.
people just doing it left, right, and center.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's a bit much
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Maybe 21-year-old Ryan would love that, but like
Yeah.
at the moment,
Yeah.
I get, that's why this podcast works because you're the writer, I'm the reader. I consume books
Yeah.
like there's no tomorrow.
Mhm.
I read,
Mhm.
read, and read, especially over the last 2 years where I haven't been working. I've been reading and reading and reading and reading, and so that's why it's a bit of a different perspective from both our
Yeah.
angles. But your book, Bucks, the Wedding Night trilogy it's fine. It's fine
Well,
for
there's
me
there's
anyway.
it's the classic cutaway. There's sex, but you don't see it.
Yeah,
You,
Right.
exactly.
So it's
you,
closed
you,
door.
you know what's
Closed
going on.
door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
It's
no
Mhm.
descriptive like yeah.
Yeah.
There's no descriptive
Yeah. There's a lot of jokes too.
scenes. Yeah.
There's a lot of jokes,
Cool.
and then there's a lot of tears. Because I love Bill Lawrence so much and his ability to
Yeah.
make you laugh and cry within 30 seconds. That's something I
Yeah.
love to do.
I
Mhm.
hate that about him, but I love it about him because it's like, and it's so true in all of his shows. He does it, even in like every single show I've watched of Bill Lawrence. He
Yeah.
does.
Mhm.
You're laughing, and then oh god, and then
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
start to get teary. But yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
but no. Look, I don't mind romance. Like, I like a good rom-com, but it depends on the level of the
Mm.
rom-com. Like I
Mhm.
like Adam Sandler rom-com.
yeah.
Aha.
I don't like
Okay.
my Big Fat Greek Wedding rom-coms.
Right.
I love those
Like,
ones. I love
hate
my Big Fat Greek
them.
Wedding. My Big Fat Greek Wedding. All three of them I absolutely love. I find that they're really funny.
No.
Um,
Yeah. I
Only
love
because on my mum's side they're like she's half Greek, so I can understand some
Mm.
of the
yeah.
some of the traditions.
The Will
Right.
Ferrell Eurovision. I love that movie.
Yeah, that was
Um,
Oh,
awesome.
I haven't seen that one yet.
It's so funny. It is so like it's
Oh, but also like Australians love Eurovision, right? I had a friend who was one of the directors for the Eurovision. Like he was a director for a few years for Eurovision, and he had to explain to me how Australia was even in Eurovision.
yeah.
And like the road to getting into Eurovision. I thought that was so interesting.
Yeah. No, I don't personally love it. I just love the movie. It made me kind of respect it almost because they don't take the piss out of it too much. Like because Will Ferrell's married to a Swedish woman,
Right.
and her whole family are Eurovision tragics. So he kind of wanted to do it in a way that was still funny but not overly disrespectful or anything.
Yeah.
So the accent he
I mean,
doesn't. in that whole
I
movie.
think North Americans don't quite get what
Yeah.
we don't get it. I think it's a little bit more front and center for Australians. Like they know what it is, they know the
Yeah.
politics, they knew
Yeah.
who the players are. Whereas I remember like the first time I learned about Eurovision was when I was in school in Sweden, and I was like, what is this? And it was so huge. Like it was
Yeah.
so all encompassing for the whole like continent. And I was like, how did I never hear it? And you really
Yeah.
just don't. Like you kind of think it's like you kind of know a little bit about it now, but it's not in the same level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, so they're the kind of movies that I like. I like a little bit of romance, but I'm not like all in for the love. If it's just a love story, I'm like, eh.
Right.
Eh.
Gotcha.
Give me something with it.
Yeah. Well, and I agree. Like it has to have some sort of engine to it,
Yeah.
right? It has to have something going on. Like it's not just like it's not just the love story, it's the love story around a murder, or it's a love story around your ship blowing up in space, or it's about a dragon school that you have to go to. Because it's a little bit boring watching people fall in love. Isn't some sort of conflict going on.
Yeah. That just comes down to good storytelling, really.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, what we're going to do now is we're going to jump into our bonus content, which is we separate it. Like we tried Patreon for a while, but it doesn't like me.
Oh, okay.
So now we're going to have for the audio listeners, this is where it ends. But if you jump onto our YouTube, you get the bonus stuff because we're going to build our YouTube up a little bit.
Okay.
So that's the theme behind it. So guys, for the audio listeners, I guess, do you just want to tell them where they can follow you, buy your books, and stay up to date?
Yeah. So I'm at noelstark.com, and you can follow me on IG and on TikTok at Noel Stark Author, and that's Noel Stark, like Tony or the Stark family. Game of Thrones.
Ned Stark.
Ned Stark. And you can follow me there. Emma, you can get my book anywhere like Amazon, Barnes and Noble. I don't know what your book, what's your big book outlet in Australia?
I don't know. I know we've got
Dimmicks,
yep.
Dimmicks, Q and some QBD. QBD is a big one. They're pretty much all over the place.
Yeah. We should be able to get it in.
A lot of bookstores. Yeah, for sure.
And it's audiobook, ebook, and hard and soft covers. So however you consume your books.
Just quickly, who did the audio?
I was just about to ask that. Yeah, who did the audio for?
Maxine Mitchell. Maxine Mitchell did it, and she did a fantastic job. Yeah. So I actually don't. I imagine. Sometimes I like audiobooks up on Spotify, but I know it's on Audible, and it's you can get it wherever.
Cool. All right. Well, let's get into the bonus stuff.
Bonus stuff. You need a thing like a.
I could put one up.
So
I usually put up a just like a preview. Like there's music, but it's because me and Ryan are very punk rocky. It's anime style music.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah. Are you going first this time, Ryan?
Yes, sir, I am. So these questions, we initially said they're quick fire, but we do like to you can expand on the answers. So you can say this is the answer, and then why. You get it when we start asking the questions anyway. Okay. So first question is, what is your favorite genre of book to read?
Oh, well, romance. That's easy.
Romance. For all of the reasons we mentioned before.
For all the reasons I mentioned before. Yeah, because they're all genres. It's all genres. Like I will go from Regency historical to sci-fi to fantasy to dark romance to contemporary. There's so many different types. That's why. Yep.
All the love stories.
All the love stories.
All right. Second one. What is the first book you ever remember reading?
Oh. Yeah, that's hard because I mean, I read a lot of nonfiction actually when I was a kid. So I read a lot of stuff about animals.
Yeah.
Um, the first adult book I read was Gone with the Wind when I
Mhm.
was 11, which was quite a tome and obviously very problematic now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it. And then my sister again used to have, maybe this is why, but I used to have romances so that I would steal them because they were not appropriate, obviously,
Yeah.
for a young
Mhm.
8 or 9 year old, but I would steal them and read them
Yeah.
anyways. So there were some of those. So there was like Levereal Spencer's Hummingbird was the first one.
Mm.
But yeah, like gosh, it's hard to remember. I read a lot. Like I read the Narnia
Yeah.
series.
Mhm.
Um, I read the Lloyd Alexander. Did you guys ever read that series? You know, with
No.
um the dark called they made a Disney movie out of the second one called The Black Cauldron, I think. Do you know that
Oh,
movie?
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
know
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't read the
yeah.
books.
So that's the second of the five series. Like I was really into fantasy at that time. And
Okay.
then when I got into high school, I was reading all those kind of like after school specials about
Yeah.
girls with bulimia or like,
Mhm.
like kids who have gotten into trouble with cocaine or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay.
Mhm.
Next question is, what is the last book you've read? So the most recent book you've read.
Okay, so I recently just read this YA series called Scythe, and it's not a romance. Like there's romantic elements, but
Hmm.
it's a kind of utopia that's turning into a dystopia. And it's
Okay.
by this guy named Neil Shusterman, and it's AI has made everything perfect in the world. Like there's people don't die anymore. Like there's jobs that you don't really have to do, but you do because you want to do something with your life. There's no
Yeah.
climate change. There's no worry about population. Like the AI basically takes care of all of it. And then there's this class of people called the Size that come and kill people to keep the population down.
Ooh.
So it's about
Okay.
these two young kids who become apprentice sides to learn how to kill people. And then it kind of goes on from there. So it's like the first one is about the two kids, but then as any good kind of dystopian fantasy world, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger into the whole world and how the whole world works. And it was really good. I was really sad when it was over. And I don't usually
Mm.
read YA, but
Yeah.
I got sucked in and I was like crying my eyes out at the end of that. It was sad. Thinking about
So what was that?
mortality.
What was that book called again?
The first one is called Scythe. So like
Okay.
SCYTHE.
Hmm.
And talk about book covers. Oh my God, so beautiful. So beautiful.
Right.
The second one is called Thunderhead, and the third one is called The Toll. So yeah,
Ryan's making his
recommend.
Googling face.
Yep.
I know, I saw him do that. I'm like, "You're good."
He's Googling.
Oh yeah, Neil Schusterman. Schusterman.
Yeah, Neil Shusterman. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
hmm Yeah. And do
Well,
you see it? Do you have the
Excellent.
cover up there?
um,
Yeah, I do. It looks
Isn't it
Ryan
pretty
does.
pretty badass.
isn't
I
it
like it.
beautiful? It's great art. It's
Yeah.
really
I'll just
mhm.
quickly save it so then I can put it
Oh,
up on the
absolutely
screen.
love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Really beautiful.
I'll send you the link, Jamie. It's all good.
Yeah, no, I found it.
Okay.
Oh, so
Yeah,
cheap.
it's awesome.
Yeah. Very cool.
Saving a copy.
I went through a big, I know you guys said that you were comic book nerds, but I went through a really big comic book phase, I think, when I was in university, and it was all like DC Vertigo stuff.
Oh,
So
cool.
all the kind of side
Yep, yep.
stuff like Hellblazer and the Invisibles
Yeah.
and Doom Patrol, like all that kind of stuff. Like I
Mhm.
Yeah.
went through, and all the dark Batman stuff, like the Frank Miller
Oh,
Batman
Yep.
stuff. Mhm.
Ryan's ears have popped up.
Yeah,
Batman's
no,
his
but I've
favorite.
I grew up reading Spider-Man and Batman, and as I got
Mhm.
older, Batman became more of my favorite. I have read all
Right.
the Dark Knight Returns and all of that by Frank Miller.
hmm
And I've
hmm
pretty much read everything Batman that's ever come out, to be honest with you.
Oh my God. Wow.
But yeah, some of the best work are the darker stuff and the Vertigo stuff. Yeah, I definitely love Hellblazer, John Constantine.
Mm,
Doom
mm,
Patrol is one of my favorites as well. So that's
mm.
a really good way to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Preacher.
Preacher, yeah, oh, I love Preacher. Love Preacher. Much big favorite of my wife. We tried watching the TV series. It wasn't too bad. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just a shame it only got I think 4 or 5 seasons, but
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
very very good TV show.
Cool. I'll check it out.
All right, next one.
Hmm.
What is a book that's on your to be read list?
I'm trying to get back into literary fiction. And I read a lot of literary fiction when I was young, or younger. But I had to kind of stop reading literary fiction because I was like having a hard time in my regular life, and I couldn't handle the unpredictable narratives
Mm.
in literary fiction. Like they really do break your heart, literary fiction. And so I had to like put them aside. And it was one of the reasons why I went into a big romance phase, was because it was like, I know exactly what's going to happen.
Yes.
Everybody's going to get together.
Yes.
It's going to be hard for them. It's going to be bumpy, but that's okay. They're going to be okay. And
Yeah.
so that's why I got into a big romance phase.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to read more literary fiction again.
Yeah.
And the one I have on deck is Banana Yoshimoto's Dead End Memories, which I actually don't know anything about, but I have a friend who's a very swanky, fancy writer, and she recommended it. So I'm going in to that. I think
Okay.
it's like Japanese
Mm.
like magic realism.
Cool.
So yeah, that's
Oh.
what's next on deck. Hopefully it won't be too scary.
Yeah.
I don't
Not
know.
a
If,
horror
it,
If
if,
you
it,
story,
if,
remember,
just
if,
a
it, if
horror.
it's Japanese, they've got some
I
very
know.
horror.
I know. And they really do like crush your heart. I remember, like, I know this isn't Japanese, it's a bit of a side, it's a bit of a
Yeah.
tangent.
Mm?
But I was reading, have you ever seen that South Korean movie called The Host? It's a
He has, and I
monster
haven't.
movie.
Yeah, I know of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's one of the first, maybe not one of the first, but it was one of the movies of the same guy who won the Oscar with Parasite. He did
Mhm.
Parasite as well. Um, but he did this thing called The Host, and it's a monster movie, and it's about this thing that grows in the river because of toxic whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like these two kids get stolen by this monster. And I remember thinking, like, I was getting so worked up about it. I was getting so scared. And then I thought, no, wait a second, just calm down. It'll be fine. It's a monster movie. And then I was like, oh my God, but it's a South Korean monster movie. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm so scared. And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
think I think Parasite was a big one. That was a really big one because the way that it was marketed, it wasn't marketed as like if you watched the movie,
mm,
I'm very surprised that it got Oscar consideration, not because it didn't deserve it, because movies like that generally don't.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
there's
Hmm.
so many good horror movies that come out of Korea, like Black Train to Busan Peninsula, like you said, The Host and Parasite, just to be a few of them. Um,
Hmm.
I think when it won the Oscar, I think it sort of pushed a lot of people to check out that kind of horror because I watch all kinds of horror. Then Netflix has got a whole bunch of Korean horror stuff on there as well.
Hmm.
But I have seen The Host and I have seen
Hmm.
Parasite and obviously Last Train to Busan
Yeah.
and all that kind of thing.
Hmm.
I'm just really really happy that it actually got a movie like that got so much acknowledgement from
Yeah, it's funny. I
everyone.
wouldn't consider that a horror movie. I would consider it more of a thriller, but I guess you could put it into the horror category.
Yeah, I think it's a fine line between horror and thriller sometimes.
Mm.
Like,
mm,
um, I guess that's probably how it got across the line, but in my books, I would consider it a horror. That's just my
Right,
opinion. Being
right.
being a historical horror person, I would call it a horror, but just because of Yeah, no, definitely classified as a horror.
Yeah, cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
I
my
mean,
turn.
I also went
No,
through a
no, keep
South
going.
Korean, oh, sorry, South Korean, I guess you would call it horror phase. I mean, Old Boy, Mr. Vengeance, Lady Vengeance, you know,
Hmm.
those movies, those are like,
Hmm.
like that, there's
Awesome.
some pretty screwed
Okay.
up stuff in there. They're pretty cool.
I think you're the only person, bar one of my old friends that I've met that actually likes Korean horror
Oh,
movies.
really?
An old friend of mine who I used to hang out with all the time introduced me to the Korean horror
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah.
And then I watch it, and anytime we talk to horror writers or horror people, I talk to horror people on Instagram. I'm like, have you seen this movie? No, no. Have you seen this one? No. It's
Oh.
Korean horror. Oh, we just don't watch that. It's mainstream.
Oh man, it's
But
very intense. Like it's
it
very
is
intense stuff.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. Like
Yeah.
I was watching a special on Shudder, the top 100 horror movies of all time, and I
Mhm.
think the top 20 there was eight or nine Korean horror movies,
I have no
and
doubt.
yeah,
No doubt.
because
Yeah.
they know how to scare the crap out of you. They
Hmm.
know how to use gore when it's necessary, and
Hmm.
they know how. I can't remember if it's VHS 2 or 3, but there was a Korean horror short. So I don't know if you're familiar with VHS series, Noel. It's an anthology for found footage horror. So it's
Oh.
basically someone's either filmed it on a video camera or security camera feeds or something like that.
Hmm.
But there is
Hmm.
it's a Korean horror short movie about a scientist who is kidnapping people from the street, like street workers, homeless people, all these kind of things, and cutting their limbs off and replacing them with robotic appendages and trying to
Oh.
turn them into and it's all this it's the story it's filmed, and because they are robotic, it's actually from one of the robotic victims' point of view because they've got a camera
Mhm.
inbuilt in their head, and
Right.
it's all about the Korean military coming to him and finding all these things, and then attacking, and she survived, and then she's trying to fight her way through all the Korean military. It's I'm not doing it justice because it is
Right.
absolutely disgusting, and it is absolutely just it's Korean horror down to a T. But
Yeah. It
it's
sort of
I
reminded
think
me
it's
of a
on
movie.
VHS.
Okay. It reminded me of a movie that for some reason that was a cult movie from I think the 80s called Frankenhooker. Have you seen that? Do you know that
Yes,
movie?
I have seen Frankenhooker. Yeah, yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
thought about that movie for a long time. But it had
That
a similar
that movie
thing.
that movie is like the B grade. Like me and my wife, she'll watch the B grade horror, like
Mm,
Zombievers, about zombie beavers that and stuff
mhm,
like that. Like really bad horror movies, so bad that they're good. Like she'll watch
mhm.
those with me. And I remember she actually found Frankenhooker and said, "How about we watch this?" And I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah,
cool, this would be good."
yeah,
And it did not
yeah.
disappoint at all.
No, it's the definition of cult classic.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Such
Yeah.
a good movie. I might go back and rewatch that actually. I've got a taste for B grade horror at the moment. But okay, so this next question, do you remember a TV show back in the day called Gumby? About like a
Oh,
green
like
plastic.
Gumby and yes, yes. I never
Yeah, and he
watched
had
it, but
okay.
I know it. Yes.
Okay, so basically Gumby had the power to jump into any book and just, go around and live in that world for a little bit of time. So that's what this question's about. If you could jump into any book, which one would you choose? And you don't have to live there. You can come back, it's just for a visit.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna go since it's rapid fire. I'm just gonna go with the one that popped into my head. Like I
Mhm.
would probably have a different answer if I could actually think about
Think
it.
about it, yeah.
But I really love this series called The Murderbot Diaries. Do you know
Okay.
this series? It's by
No, I do
Martha
not.
Wells, and it's a sci-fi series, and it's about this kind of RoboCop character that is supposed to be a robot but is actually sentient, and he's learned to like kind of free himself from like he's a security agent essentially. So he
Mhm.
has all this power and he's like can kill anybody like that. Like he's very smart. But he's managed to free himself, and instead of like leaving, he's kind of like hit this existential crisis and he just watches TV all the time. And he just like tries, and he's kind of trying to figure out what it's like to be a human. And so he goes on these adventures. It's like it's an action series, and they're just novellas, so they're short little quick things. And they're very stressful in terms of like their high stress action. But I think I would go into that because I would like to meet that guy. I don't think he would want to meet me because he does not like people. He doesn't want to talk to them, and he finds like emotions very upsetting. But
I like
I
that.
think I would hop in there. I think I would go in there.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Next one in a similar vein. If you could spend the day with any fictional character, who would it be and what would you do?
Oh my God, these are hard questions. Oh my God. Okay, you guys have to give me some time. Who would you guys pick?
So, this is not how it works here. Because I can't think. I just think off the top of my head, Ninja Turtles. That's my jam.
Charles.
I'd want to hang out with them.
Okay.
And probably eat pizza.
Nice. Well,
Yeah. Pizza
you
party.
know, when in Rome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
What about you, Ryan?
really only read horror. Mainly read horror. So unless I'm the actual
Murdered.
killer, I don't think I probably wouldn't want to go into. You know what? One of my favorite books of all time is Ready Player One. I think I'd like to go into that world. Ready
Right.
Player One is an amazing book. Way better. The movie's great, but the book is so much better as most of it. But I'd
I
probably go into
just
Ready Player One.
I just learned about this thing, the Ready Player One, that's a whole genre was started by the Russians of all people, of this like lit RPG style.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
literature that's just around like gaming, which is so interesting. I just learned about this. I'm obviously
Okay.
stalling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have a favorite fictional character?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's hard because
It doesn't have to be books. It can be movies. It can be TVs. Yes, TVs.
I mean, I don't know. I guess what will happen is that I'll turn the Zoom off and then I'll be like, "Oh my God, it's this one." And I won't. Okay, pass on that one. I'll come back to that one. Maybe it'll come to me.
We'll revisit
Okay.
it. Okay.
Give me a pass.
Okay.
All right. Okay. All right. So the next question is, and I'm going to set the scene for you for the next question. So picture it's nice, dusk of the evening. You're sitting in front of a fire on like a nice, rug, and there's a chair, and there's your favorite book on that chair, and then someone walks in, living, dead, famous, not famous, and they're going to read your favorite book to you. Who would you have read your favorite book to you?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I've got one.
Okay.
Pedro Pascal.
Mm. He's hard to get
Yeah.
these days. He's always busy.
He's a
Yeah.
bit busy. He's a bit busy.
Well, not so much on Last of Us anymore, but
Oh, spoilers.
No, 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 no.
Have you not played the game?
Sorry.
Did you just wreck The Last of Us for me?
Well,
Is that what just
Jamie spoiled it for my wife, and she got very upset with him, because she hadn't played the games.
Right. I had actually heard something about the
Yeah.
secondary game, so it's not a total spoil. But yeah, so Pedro
I mean,
Pascal.
it was 3 episodes ago. I mean,
Oh my
it was
God, I
like
haven't
3 weeks
started
ago.
watching. Shut up. Shut up.
Welcome to the spoilers podcast.
I know. Oh my
Yes.
God. I haven't watched it yet because I haven't had time.
Have you watched season 1?
No, I have seen one. I watched season one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So no more talk about that. But Pedro Pascal.
Pedro
okay,
Pascal.
I would have
Yeah.
read my favorite book for sure. Oh my God, that'd be awesome. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
In a Mandalorian costume or
I mean, if he was into
Because he
that, we
does
could
so
try it out.
he does so many different voices. You could pick.
Yeah.
Would you like him to read it in the Mandalorian voice, or in Joel's voice, or in the Max
Well,
Lord voice from that Wonder Woman movie, or
I don't
you
know if you
know?
guys watch Saturday Night Live ever, but he's flippin' hilarious
Mhm.
on Saturday Night Live. So he can probably do all the voices. He can do all the voices of the characters and act
Exactly.
them all
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
He
That
can be in
guy's so funny. He's really funny.
every
That's
every
a
every
really
every chapter. He can be a new. He can dress up in a new.
Yeah. Oh my God, you're making it better and better.
well. That's a good thing about I got the Lord of the Rings trilogy on Audible because I've read the book
Mm,
hundreds of times. But Andy
Mm,
Serkis reads he plays
mm,
Gollum. He
mhm,
reads the books, and he does all the voices, and they're so amazing. Like
mm.
it doesn't feel like it's Andy Serkis at all, just talking. He does all the voices. Obviously, Gollum is perfect, but he does Frodo, Sam, Gandalf, all of the voices he does, and it's just absolutely amazing.
mm. That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right,
Hmm.
we'll make the next one easy for you.
Good. Thank you. I
What
appreciate that.
what's a must-read indie book if you can think of one?
Oh, I must read indie book. Well, it's hard because I actually don't know the difference because I read a lot of books from the
Yeah,
library and I go through them really quick.
yeah.
So I often don't know if they're indie
Okay,
books
well,
or
just
not.
give us a recommendation of one that stood out
Yeah,
to you.
Okay,
yeah.
so this might be an indie book. I'm not really
Yeah.
sure, but then this will not be up your lane,
Okay.
Ryan. But it's an erotica by this woman named Charlotte Stein, who did this thing called Power Play, and it's like it's set in a publishing like edit with editors and a publisher, and she just gets um, promoted to be one of the head publishers, and she takes over this BDSM relationship with one of her underlings, and it's so funny and it's so sexy and it's just so much fun that I always recommend that to people who want to get into some like more serious erotica. Try that out because it's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Power
Okay.
Play by Charlotte Stein. And I just don't know if that's an indie or not.
No. Well,
It could be.
Okay. Well,
Mhm.
generally, the question used to be what book do you like that should be on the top, like on the bestsellers list? But I mean, it's basically a book that maybe not a lot of people have heard about that
yeah.
now they can
Mhm.
have a look
Yeah.
at. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So that fits that
Yeah.
pretty.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, if you could combine the works of two different authors, who would you choose?
Combine
Crossover.
like to
Crossover.
make
Yeah.
crossover. Okay. Okay, this is a good one. This is a good one. Um, I really love comedy. I really love when comedy is in books.
Hmm.
So I would maybe put Amy Sedaris
Mhm.
in there. Do you know who Amy Sedaris
I
is?
have
I've
heard of her. Yeah.
heard of her.
Like her brother David is a satire writer, but Amy's written some books, but she's also an actress. I would put Amy Sedaris with someone who's like really high plot action. So who's like a good high plot action writer
Ryan,
that you guys?
you're asking the wrong.
I
Um,
Yeah,
think
yeah.
my favorite is Matthew Riley for sure. Like
Hmm.
he's like he's got three different series, but they're more of an espionage spy kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Um, yeah,
That's fine.
okay,
I like that. I like high anxiety kind of action stories with comedy. Like that's my favorite thing. If I can find that,
yeah.
I I just love it so much.
awesome. I like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Cool. All right. Second last question, because we are going to go back to that other one that you part. This
Hoping you'd
this
forget.
one may be easy or may not be easy.
Okay.
What are your top three desert island books?
Oh, I hate this because it's like, oh, you have to like narrow it down. It's so unfair. Okay. So I would probably pick, like, the thing about desert island books is that you kind of want to pick something that's hard because you're spending a lot of time there.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
you want something like the Bible, which isn't like a laugh riot. It's not.
No.
I've read some of it. It's not a page turner. You know what is a page turner, which I was surprised at, is Dracula, Bram Stoker's
Mhm.
Dracula.
Yep,
You guys have read that?
I haven't,
I was
but
I have. Yeah,
a real page
it's one
turner.
of the
Like,
one
I
of
was
the first
surprised.
books I ever read, actually. One of the very
Really?
first. I think I read it when I was about 12.
Mm.
That kind of got me into my horror phase, actually. But yeah, really love that book. I've read it so many times.
Really
It's not
good.
funny.
Yeah, really stands up in time.
Well, if you
Okay,
want a little
so
bit of a cheat code, this is what the last guest did. He named books that had 3 books within the books.
oh, that's
Yeah.
smart.
Like
Okay,
for
so you know what? I would pick the Lord of the Rings series
yep.
because I've never read it because I can't, and I'm sorry, Ryan, I've never read it because I can't get past like the description of the Shire.
Mhm.
So that will give me something to do,
Yeah.
Yeah.
those 3 books. I guess what are other series that are so good? Like maybe like the ent- uh, like the entire Outlander series, maybe the entire Outlander. How
Well,
about that? That's fun. That could be fun.
you're getting a bit over the top there.
I'm cheating too much. Is that what you're
next
saying?
next thing you say is like The Reacher because there's like, how many books are in Reach?
Yeah, yeah. And then I guess I'll pick this really sweet Regency romance that I just love. It's called The Duchess Deal, and it's just like a perfect romantic Regency comedy. And I often reread it because it's very fun and snappy. And yeah, I'll take that. I'll
Okay.
take that. Mhm.
So that's about 25 books instead
Yeah.
of 3. So there you
Is
go.
that like, Dwight
Office.
on The Office where he
Yeah.
said, I will take the one of the Harry Potter books, and
Yeah.
inside will be like a gun or like tape, and then will also be another Harry Potter book.
Yeah.
Well, I think the reason the boat sank on, and stranded you on the desert island was because of all the weight of your books. I
Yeah.
think that, it's like she's only allowed to take 3, but we've, 25 and sank. That's how it works.
Yeah, that's how it works. All right. Have you thought about your fictional character that you want to spend the day with?
Yeah, I haven't come up with anything. I
That's
will say,
the Mandalorian, so you can hang out
you
with
know what? Okay,
Pedro
I'll
Pascal.
say maybe Ginny from the Harry Potter books. I freaking love Ginny. I love her so much. I think she's underrepresented in the movies. I'm reading the whole series to my son again just now. Like we're on the 6th book in the second time through, and I just love her. She's awesome. So Ginny.
And what would you do with her?
Definitely underwhelmed, like underutilized in the movies for sure.
Underutilized in the movies.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'd get her to teach
100%.
me how to play Quidditch for sure.
cool.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Mhm.
There you go.
Oh, good. I say there you go. You ended up with a really good answer, and you couldn't even think of it to begin with.
I know. So thank you for giving me the space, you guys.
Just
You guys
okay.
gave me the space to find it.
Yes.
I've learned if there's one thing I've learned from being married is when my wife said she wants space, give her the damn space. Otherwise,
You're wise man.
otherwise the house will fall down around me. So.
Smart.
Well, thank you for joining us. It's
Yes.
been
Thank
fun.
you for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
No, okay. And that's what we aim for. We aim for it to just be a chat with a couple of friends rather than this question, this question, this question. We just like to
Yeah,
make it fun.
Yeah, it was really fun and made me think about stuff like hard thinking. But I'll go away with a Pedro Pascal idea.
Awesome. Well, yeah.
guys, thetrueandthefictional@gmail.com if you want to reach out. All our socials will be down below. All Noel's socials will be down below, and all the links and all that stuff. So please check that stuff out. And yeah, we'll catch you next time.
We'll see you next time.